Hey guys, sorry for the whole kerfuffle, as somebody would say, with the stream. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to come in and start with me. A couple of you were on the other broadcast. What happened is that I'm editing, if you know about this series that I do, it's called the For Real News. And the software that I use is just unbelievably unreliable. It's called Move AVI screen capture. And basically what it does is sometimes it'll record the audio from what's on screen, and sometimes it won't. So I'm kind of taking a break from that software to talk to you guys, something that's current events that maybe more of you guys will care about. Because to be honest with you, the topic that I talk about in there is a little more of a niche of mine, you know, critiquing the left. And this is a little more about sports. So, you know, thanks for joining me, all two of you, and possibly a third person. I think there was a third guy and the other one. So that OBS software, I like the strength of the stream to show the windows. Whereas in this one, it will probably be pretty easy. So let me pull up this window. Now the topic today, if you saw my brief stream on Sunday, issue. And on the chat minutes, but most of you guys are in agreement with me that it's an overblown what's going on, like how important he is in relation to the rest of the league, in relation to the rest of society. I've made the point, and you can agree with me or not, okay? Colin Kaepernick made like a very bold statement last year by sitting on the bench, but I don't think it was a sincere statement, because I've made the case since then that he was a fraud, that the whole thing was in order to undermine Chip Kelly and get the starting position. This whole racial justice thing is a bunch of contrived rhetoric on his part. And you can disagree with me. There was an asshole who yesterday tried to comment. He said, you know, that Ray Lewis is an Uncle Tom and that Kaepernick deserves to be in the NFL. It's not a matter of deserving to be anywhere. I mean, that's like the most ridiculous premise that there is. Nobody deserves to be in the NFL. Tim Tebow, some people say, deserved to be in the NFL, and he wasn't in the NFL for very long. In fact, his career ended on some dubious circumstances. You know, with and Manning was brought in instead of him. I don't have the best streaming capability, and I'm just trying to pull. So here says the living martyr, meaning that he's a person who, even though he's alive, people act like he's been given the worst injustice of his life, and he must be redeemed. It's the same thing that they refer to when they talk about Obama, that any criticism you give towards Obama is basically like the Spanish Inquisition, or like putting Christ on trial in the Bible or something. That's the way that they relate to Colin Kaepernick. Let's think about some of the other athletes that are having things that they're going through right now. As I'm frequently stating, Miguel Cabrera, who is, in my opinion, the greatest hitter since Tony Gwynn, possibly even longer than that. You know, Wade Boggs was also an amazing hitter. He is having his family threatened in Venezuela, and nobody cares. Literally nobody has. I haven't heard a single commentator talk about him during the week when he was speaking out about it, and that's it. Talking about Colin Kaepernick. What's up, Angel Muniz? Welcome to the stream. You see Dean and Freedom Work, and there's a mystery man. Maybe this is maybe Miguel Cabrera's Venezuelan secret police handler is tuning in too. We'll see. So Miguel Cabrera gets virtually no attention, and I'm getting performance alerts from Norton Antivirus right now that I shouldn't be streaming, but I'm going to be streaming just because I've spent the whole day, waiting to talk about things in this software. So what are we going to talk about? Hi, Denise. What are we going to talk about with the whole Kaepernick issue? I believe that at some point, Mr. Kaepernick's going to get a job. Okay, there's no reason that, professionally in terms of skills, that he can't play in a league now that officially Jay Cutler has been signed by the Miami Dolphins. But the fact that people are portraying that as an injustice is very ironic. You might remember that last December, I think it was, or it might have been the last week of November, and played in Miami for the 49ers and made a retarded comment that Fidel Castro was some sort of hero for the black community. Now I did, and I'll put this on the description if you guys want to read it. It's from my personal blog, which I haven't been writing for that often, but I did a point-by-point argument that refutes the whole premise that Fidel Castro was good for the black community. Anybody in favor of that, say aye in the chat. It's pretty long, so if you want to go take a look at it, there's a lot of points. We have an issue where there's a player that he's got such a following that I believe that teams are not going to sign him. Why? Because the first step is signing a player who has a massive radical fan base of people that they don't care about his performance, they only care about his points of view. That is not a recipe for, a teammate that people can rally around. Not actually, I think his teammates would rally around. Now, yeah, Denise, this is the point that I'm making. Okay, it's an issue of bad PR in the vein that on the one hand you do have a certain part of the fan base, that are radicalized, that they're going to say we absolutely should take him. He's a good asset to the team, and he he has this good civic message of support for Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. And they'll never move from that. So they're going to be fanatics of his. It's just like when I'm a Cowboys fan. I have this Romo jersey on. There are people that are still Romosexuals over in Dallas. All they could have, what's his name? Romo could throw 3 picks, and they would still say, "Oh, don't bench him." So, and I'm pretty sure Dean will laugh at that. But the same thing with Eli Manning. Guys, they have statistical background to give them. Sorry if I'm coughing. I thought I had that under control, but they have statistical backing, and in the case of Eli Manning, he has 2 Super Bowl titles to prove that they're worthy of that starting position. What does Kaepernick have? He has 1 Super Bowl appearance, and since then he's basically just quarterback. He's become a shadow of himself. Can you guys see me in the stream? Are you guys hearing and seeing me well? Because on my side. Anyway, so I'm going to do a breakdown. Colin Kaepernick will, in my opinion, get signed this season. Okay? And the only issue is who can do it with the least amount of pain. And I'm looking at it objectively. Okay? I have my opinion. I've hated Colin Kaepernick since way before this whole issue because I hate his team and I think he's an asshole. Okay? So, he was doing the whole Kaepernicking meme at the time. He was kissing his bicep. And they say that Dallas fans are the ones that are, or the Dallas is the one with all the arrogant players, but nobody talks about Kaepernick and his stupid bicep kiss. So I'm going to share with you a couple screens, if this will let me. Application window. Here we go. since you listen to me, yak on Anthony Logan's. I see him sometimes. He's sometimes like, yeah, this dude just shut up about Obamacare, but I have my obsession just like I do, and I'm glad to care about ideas. So this is ourlads.com, and screen sharing failed to start. I got to clean up this computer. I'll tell you that. Application window. Work now. If you guys are in the chat, I can't see the chat at the moment. So we have the depth charts for the entire league. So you can see some of these have some real duds. Okay, so we're not talking about some great guys here. Says I think the Chargers would. I actually didn't think of the Chargers. So let's go point by point, and then I'm going to show a story that will kind of bring a chuckle to your faces. So you have at the top, if this piece of shit will move, you have Tyrod Taylor of Buffalo. So I think you guys can agree or disagree with me, but Tyrod Taylor, sure, I think he could be Taylor's backup and probably end up replacing him because Taylor is not that good. In Miami, that's already out of the picture because of out of the picture because of how does it feel to lose out to Jay Cutler because you praised Fidel Castro? That must be pretty poetic justice. That's a word I would use. That you praise a dictator and then you get passed up for one of the most depressed looking. I mean, Denise, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. let's talk about it. I'll come up, okay? The irony is that if you look at Jay Cutler's face, it looks like he was in Cuban prison for like 20 years. He just looks like he's depressed. He always needs a cigarette, probably a beer too. Then you go to New England. Don't even dream of that. They have Jacoby Brissett even would probably be a pretty good quarterback. And honestly, why would Bill Belichick, answer me, any of you in the chat, Freedom Work, Denise and Dean, answer me this. Who the fuck cares for this idiot when you have Bill Belichick? He would probably be able to manage any quarterback to be a top player in the league. Why would he want to deal with this clown? Colin Kaepernick would just create unnecessary attention. Plus, Belichick, I think, would the one thing that would be going for him is really simple. Bill Belichick would be able to sign Colin Kaepernick and cut him for no other reason than he's Bill Belichick and he has 5 Super Bowl titles. Then you go to the Jets. Yes. Bryce Petty is not that good of a backup. From what I remember, he had a horrible year because the team's a horrible team. Dean, you might be able to comment on that if you're from the New York area. I don't know if you're just a Giants fan. Kruger says he'd be a bad fit for New England. Let me know why. I think that it wouldn't matter. Give me a comment why you think that. Okay, then you have. So the Jets have Josh McCown, who's actually a pretty hardcore quarterback in terms of being able to take some hits. But I think Kaepernick could probably be a good backup and probably replace him. Christian Hackenberg, I think he went to Penn State. Not that good of a quarterback. Yeah, I think he could play for the Jets. The Baltimore Ravens. Let's save that for the end. We'll get back to that. The Bengals. No, he's not going to play for the Bengals. The city of Cincinnati would spit him out in a second. I know Bengals fans, they wouldn't take kindly to some idiot like Kaepernick. They have no patience for anybody that would not be able to take them to the playoffs. AJ McCarron is a decent. Yeah, Denise, that's exactly Bill Belichick, BB. I think that's what she said. Wouldn't put himself or team in that position. I have to agree. I think that he wants all the attention on winning, not on any but one player. He doesn't even like the attention on Brady or Gronkowski. And I think that he's made a good job getting those guys to party more in the offseason than during the season. Then you have the Browns. We'll come back to that. Then you have the Steelers. He could actually be a decent third stringer for the Steelers. He'd be pretty good for their offense, and I don't think that he's better than Landry Jones. I saw Landry Jones play a bunch of games in the past couple of years. Landry Jones will probably be signed once his contract's up. It says, I wouldn't count out the Bills. They love to make bad picks. Yeah, I said they would do the Bills. The Bills would probably be a good candidate because nobody cares, honestly. Up there, they would take anybody. The Bills, the Bills are one of those teams where quarterbacks go for their careers to die. It's unfortunate. There's a lot of nice fans up in Buffalo, but thanks to them, both of our teams have Super Bowl titles, Dean. My team has 2 because of them. Then you have Houston, which has Tom Savage, Deshaun Watson, and Brandon Weeden. No, he's not going to go there. Deshaun Watson, for one, right now he's the second stringer. I think that by the end of the season, Deshaun Watson will end up starting a couple games. Tom Savage is not going to go anywhere, and I don't think he's going to get. Well, he could get injured. I think he was injured like the last game of last season. Weeden is trash, so he could end up being a second stringer. I mean, and that's like a big if. Then you have Indianapolis. Now, Indianapolis is an interesting case. They could certainly, with Andrew Luck being apparently out of action for the season, possibly. He could end up there because their second stringer is Scott Tolzien, who's an awful quarterback. Then you have Stephen Morris, who is not a known quantity. So yeah, I think he could play in Indianapolis, except for the fact that the people in Indiana would hate his guts. So besides that, he has everything running on his side there. Then you have Jacksonville with Blake Bortles and Chad Henne. Yes, it's a possibility. I wouldn't say it's a strong possibility. There's a lot of talk about Blake Bortles having a shitty training camp. I don't care. I think that Blake Bortles will still be the starting quarterback. Chad Henne as a second stringer, that's a good question. So I'm not sure. I think that ultimately Jacksonville would be one of those teams that, yeah, Dean, I didn't know that until last week either about Andrew Luck. But I do think that Jacksonville is one of those cities where people would not go to games at all if Colin Kaepernick were signed. And for a team that traditionally doesn't make the playoffs, this is pretty much Houston and Tennessee's division to win this year. I think that Tennessee is banking on making a few bucks at the concession stand, having people come in. I think Jacksonville, they might have a game in London this year. I'm not sure. I think in fact, I think one of their games was given to a different team. One of them might have been Cleveland even. So I don't think Jacksonville will take him, even though they'd have, at least reason to put him in as a backup, not as strong as Indianapolis. Then you have Tennessee with Marcus Mariota and Matt Castle. I don't think that they're going to take him. I think that Matt Castle, as bad of a quarterback as he is a good backup. And Mariota will be looking to start the entire season. I don't think that Mariota has even been injured so much, but if I'm wrong, correct me if you guys know. Then there's the AFC West. There's Denver. We'll save that to the end. So remember, guys, Somebody keep a tally. There's so far 3 teams: Cleveland, Baltimore, and Denver, that have, you know, subtexts going with them. Then you have Kansas City, which has Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. No, he's not going to go there. The Kansas City fans. First of all, wouldn't that be ironic? Yeah, that's coming up. This is the AFC first, but yeah, we'll get to those 2 teams. So, who is not bad at all. You know, he's not amazing, but he's not bad. And then you have his replacement. He will replace him eventually, Patrick Mahomes, second stringer. So here's the real question. There's all this controversy. It's not as bad as with Washington, but there's controversy over Kansas City having a racist logo. I happen to be in the minority. I know you guys will probably call me an SJW for this, but I do believe that Native American logos are a bad thing, and I don't support them at all. But, you know, there's plenty of people that disagree with me. I live in a state where there's a lot of Native American logos, and I think it's a huge problem. But unfortunately, with the climate that we're in, nobody even cares anymore, because it's just swallowed up by all this other SJW crap. So even things that I think are legitimate, like that complaint, are swallowed up. So I don't think that anything's going to change. Now, you know, getting off that tangent, Colin Kaepernick, I don't think, first of all, that he has a chance to play for Kansas City, because Smith and Mahomes will be the main competitors, and he's not going to want to be a third stringer. And second of all, it would be hilarious if he went and played for a team with a Native American logo after all the crap he talked about politics. Denise said, I live in a state where there are a lot of natives and they don't seem to have a problem with it. Yeah, I hear that. I know what you're talking about, and I know there's a lot of division on it. That's why I'm not, you know, if I was going to be obnoxious about it and tell people, oh, don't wear that hat because it has a Native American logo, I don't think it would convince people. It's just a matter of practicality. I don't think that if you want to tell people something's racist, that it's really going to convince them. You do have to make the case and give a convincing argument. Says, okay, so you were born in, so is that why you asked about those 2 teams, Angel? So then you have San Diego. By the way, Angel, if you want to join in on one of these sports casts, we could try it one day. Although you can see how hard the technical difficulties are with me. So we could try it one day. I know you were asking me a while back if you could come for a live stream. Maybe if I get this computer in order. So then the next one is San Diego. San Diego, that's an interesting one. Who suggested that? Was that you, Dean? Yes, he could be. I think Cardale Jones, who's their third stringer, will get a chance eventually. Cardale Jones is not a bad quarterback. He's just been brought along slowly. He was at Ohio State. I think he will get a chance to play for the Chargers. I don't think this Kellen Clemens is going to be. By the way, they're not San Diego anymore, guys. They're the LA Chargers. That's about that for them. I think Rivers. By the way, I think Phillip Rivers, as much as I'm a Cowboys fan, was a better quarterback than Tony Romo, and is probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks ever. Then you have Derek Carr and the Oakland Raiders. No, he's not going to be playing for the Raiders. The Raiders can do with less attention about Colin Kaepernick. They don't want any attention related to him while they're trying to move the team, and they're dealing with the Oakland community and everything, and Jack Del Rio is their coach. They don't want to deal with any of this shit. This would just be a tremendous distraction for them. So no, he is not going to be he's not going to be the starter or on the team at all. On the Oakland Raiders, you can take that to the bank. Then you have the NFC East. Cowboys. Now, strangely, and this is hard for me to say because I can't believe I'm such a large fan base for the that I've seen. There's a lot of these people that they're SJWs and they still root for the Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't make sense to me. You know, I don't know you guys' fan base. By the way, so put in the chat which team you root for. You know, and if there's a reason why. Then you have the definitely about that. Fixing the stream would be great. Are you guys getting any choppy streaming right now, or is it good? Because I think I'm getting a delay with your comments. Anyway, so the New York Giants are not going to get Colin Kaepernick. I sincerely doubt it. I think they have less of a chance of signing him than the Cowboys or the Patriots. You have Geno Smith as the backup. Yeah, Denise, I had a feeling it was choppy. Let's see if it's there's not much I can do. Otherwise, I'll just make it choppier. So, yeah, they have a third stringer, Josh Johnson, that doesn't seem to be very well known. I think they might even still have that. Dean, let me know do the Giants still have that Ryan Nassib, or did he leave? Thanks for the heads up, guys. Then you have the Eagles, which are pretty much the NFL equivalent of Al Qaeda, with Carson Wentz as their starter and Nick Foles as their backup and Matt McGloin as their third stringer. They're not going to sign Colin Kaepernick. Take that to the bank. Then you have the Washington Redskins, which Dean, can you hear me now? Yes, I'm saying. How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Tell me if you can hear me. Still here. It's just loading. I can't see the chat yet. Okay, Angel says he can hear me fine. Denise says he can hear me fine. Dean said, okay, so we have all hands on deck right now. Angel, Denise, Dean, Freedom, let me know if you can hear me. It says, Angel, I'm Native American. I have no problem with the Washington Redskins logo. I mean, I think if people have no problem with it, it's hard to make the case to remove it. You know, it's been, I could show you some people that I met, these Native American activists that have a problem with it, but it's not my call to make. So, you know, it's probably, it's like I said, there's a lot of people that are trying to fight the fight for them, and I don't think that they've been successful. So again, I'm not even pushing the issue, and I can't be offended on somebody else's behalf. It doesn't even make any sense. Plus, there's so many offensive things that people say to me that why would I try to take up somebody else's cause? Yeah, but we could probably have a talk on that one day if you want, Angel. You could give your opinion on it, you know, which is fine. So yeah, I don't think he's going to play for the Washington Redskins. Guys, comment if you can still hear me, because I don't know if I've lost your signal again. So Kirk Cousins will be the starter for the Redskins, and believe it or not, I mean the Redskins are, I think, not going to be that good of a team. Denise says, if you're not SJW, you just think of yourself as American anyway. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, I think that if you're an SJW, you kind of take it on yourself to fight nothing to do with you and aren't even your business sometimes. That's my opinion on it. I think that's what you're getting at. So yeah, he's not going to play for Washington. Chicago, he could play at some point because they have Mike Glennon as the starter. They have Mitch Trubisky as the backup. Trubisky will probably play at some time this season, but not for very long. And Mark Sanchez is as the third stringer. I don't think now. Let's put this in perspective, and you guys will probably agree with me. The idea that Kaepernick has enough accomplishments to be a backup quarterback. You know, they make the case based on one Super Bowl appearance he had. Well, Mark Sanchez also had 3 straight AFC championship appearances. Was that enough to make him a backup on a team? He's been playing horribly too. So I think Kaepernick and Sanchez are at the same level right now. It's just nobody thinks the same way about Sanchez because he doesn't have any political statements as of right now. Then you have Detroit. I think he could play for Detroit. Absolutely. You look at their depth chart. If you guys can see him, you guys let me know in the comments if you can see this screen still. You have Stafford, Jake Rudock, and Brad Kaya. Now, I said last season when I saw Matthew Stafford was he was basically stinking up the field and letting the Lions just squeeze out of his fingers. I said that he is going to be done. He is going to be done as a starter eventually. This could be his last year now, and people are getting tired of him in Detroit. They've been patient for so many years. I could probably ask Nick Taylor one day if he agrees with me, but just an over-the-hill guy. I'm not seeing if the streaming is still going on. It says on the screen that it's still going on. So I'm not going to see the chat for a few minutes, guys, because I'm monitoring the stream itself. It's fucking around. It looks like it's still working. Yeah, it looks like you guys are still there. So we still have 4 viewers in the room. There's the Green Bay Packers. They are not going to sign Colin Kaepernick. Aaron Rodgers is the Iron Man. He is not going to. You're not going to see Colin Kaepernick go anywhere near Green Bay. The people of the state would hate him. The people of Wisconsin would probably be even more hostile than the Dallas fans towards him. It's not even close. there's no way that he's going to play for Green Bay. Now, Minnesota, given recent events, yes, he could play for Minnesota. That answers your question, Angel. Let me go back to the chat. Freedomworks still here. There was a timestamp for these comments so I could see how recent they were. You see, the Vikings have Sam Bradford, who I consider the worst starting quarterback in the league. I just killed the page. So I'm going to talk about Minnesota for a second while this reloads. You can see what I'm dealing with here, guys. I have to really, or the other software. It's honestly enough to drive me up a wall. So Case Keenum is their backup. You have Dean Kruger. I still think the Bills, Kaepernick like scrambles, and that's what the Bills are geared for. Yeah, absolutely. I would say the Bills. There's one other team that I would pick him for, and we're getting to it. Hold on. There's plenty of teams that we're not even. We haven't even gotten to. So this whole premise that Colin Kaepernick would be bad for certain teams, I think we have to balance our political beliefs on reality. Okay, just like the idiot SJWs, they think that Kaepernick is a natural fit for the league just because they have no idea how football is. We have to be realistic. There are certain teams where he would make sense. I think Buffalo would definitely be one. I think you're right. And I said that at the beginning. It's just, there's a few teams I think would actually be a little better. Then you have Atlanta. No, he's not going to play there. You have Matt Schaub. Yeah, Angel, I do need this computer, believe it or not, is not old at all. It needs to be cleaned up. I have so much like work that I saved in it, and I probably have to clean up the browser and all these cookies. So this is what we're dealing with. I do have a Surface Pro, but it's a little hard. I should be doing this on the Surface Pro. That's why I worked good on Friday. I was doing it on that. So he's not going to be on Atlanta. He's not going to be on Carolina. They don't give a shit. They have Cam Newton. The guy's an Iron Man. Even when he's injured, Derek Anderson does well enough. Then you have Joe Webb, who's not bad. Then we get to a very interesting case, which I believe, and Dean, this is where I disagree with you. I think that New Orleans is, I'm hovering over them, New Orleans is the perfect place because you have Drew Brees is getting really old. He's a kind of small quarterback. He could use freedom work. What go there? What are you, an Atlanta fan or something? Yeah, Angel, you're right. I have to clean out all the junk on this piece of shit. So you can see on New Orleans they have Chase Daniel as the backup, Garrett Grayson as the third stringer. And I think if there's one quarterback that's a starter that could get along with Colin Kaepernick and do like a good cooperation with him, it would be Drew Brees. The city of New Orleans would be fine with Kaepernick playing there. It's not a bad fit. And I'm being honest, I hate Kaepernick and I hate the 49ers. Panthers equals third. Oh, okay. So you're a Panthers fan. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I work with a guy from North Carolina, but he's not really a huge NFL fan. So you have Tampa. That's not going to happen. Jameis Winston is solid there. Ryan Fitzpatrick will be a fine backup. That's where he always should have been. He should have always been a backup. He never should have started. Then you have Arizona, where you have Carson Palmer and Drew Stanton and Blaine Gabbert. No, he is not going to Arizona. They have a good enough defense to be competitive with any of these quarterbacks, even Blaine Gabbert. They're not going to be an amazing team, but they don't need Colin Kaepernick to be competitive in the league. And I think he's not going to go there. Then you have the Rams. Yes, he could play for the Rams. Look at all three of these quarterbacks. You have Jared Goff, who was a disaster last year as a starter. You have Sean Mannion. And yeah, Denise, let me know, who's the big team in Montana? Would it be like the Broncos? Let me know in the chat. I'm interested about those mountain areas, like those areas where we don't know, they're not part of any one zone or region with an NFL team. Let me know who's the big team over there. So where were we at? We were at the Rams. They are done. Interesting, Seattle. Yeah, Dean, I said Tampa. I think they don't need him at all. They can get by with either. First of all, Jameis Winston is a beast. Him and Cam Newton are both durable enough to. I mean, whoever's their backup only has to worry about spare cases. I have seen Derek Anderson play. When Newton has had like some minor injuries, but honestly, they're not going to need Colin Kaepernick. If anything, they'd be able to attract somebody even better than Kaepernick as their third stringer with the way things are going. Tampa Bay, by the way, and you guys can comment if you think of Freedom Work. You should probably know because your team is in the same division as them. Tampa Bay is set to become a real competitor to get to the Super Bowl. People might think that they're not that big of a deal, but you have to really think about it from the standpoint of having deep threat offense now with Deshaun Jackson playing for them and Jameis Winston being a run threat. Yeah, Angel, that might have been the corniest shit that I've ever heard in my life. But I guess I deserve it because I have this shitty service today. Then you get back to his old team. You guys want to? We can save that for the next. So the last two teams, San Francisco and Seattle, will group with the other teams that we talked about. So I'm going to take off of the screen share, and we're going to go back to my ugly face. So look, guys, we had how many teams? We had Cleveland, we had Baltimore. Message retracted. Angel, you'd have to take it back. I mean, it's not like it was I just said it was corny. I just said it was corny, man. You don't have to retract the message. so anyway, I think we should do a live broadcast someday because I think you'd really get to explore. I want to hear you trash talk about sports, Angel, because you're always in on the politics, but when we're going to talk, I have a feeling it would be like those super fan skits from SNL with Chicago Bears fans. So we're talking about Cleveland, Baltimore, Seattle, San Francisco. Who else did I miss? Way here, Denver. So those are the teams that I saved for the end. Okay, let's go through the list. Denver. I have an interesting story. Let's see if I can share the screen. I'm sorry if it fucks it up now, but it's funny enough that I think it's worth looking at. Hopefully it won't. The stream. Oh, we have number 5. Welcome, number 5. We're going to mute the tab because all they're doing is they're putting yoga videos here on a Denver Broncos news tidbit. It says neither Trevor Siemian nor Paxton Lynch have leapt out to an advantage in training camp. So naturally, calls to sign another quarterback have grown louder. So loud, in fact, that team sources are now having to refute their interest in one particular free agent, Colin Kaepernick. Les Shapiro of Mile High Sports Radio reported Thursday the Broncos, under no circumstances, will bring in the former San Francisco 49ers QB, who remains without an NFL home. Even in the event of injuries to both Siemian and Lynch, Denver would look elsewhere for help at the position before considering Kaepernick, according to Shapiro's source. Better chance Elway comes to play. Did you guys? I mean, if you guys heard that, I don't know how you could not laugh out loud. Well, Elway stands no chance of suiting up. He's made it clear that Kaepernick isn't bound for the Mile High City. He came this close to acquiring Kaepernick in the run-up to the, but talks of if it didn't happen then, it won't now. Earlier this season, the Broncos head honcho was asked about the possibility of Cap. He said he's seeking someone who's a better fit for Mike McCoy's offense. That is, if he signed a veteran signal caller. I'm gonna have to tell somebody I'm not coming. Somebody wanted to know if I was coming to something. I'm back with you guys. Earlier this season, the Broncos head honcho was asked again about the possibility of Cap. He said he's seeking someone who's a better fit for Mike McCoy's offense. That's an awesome excuse. That is if he signed a veteran signal caller. Elway instead opted to push forward with just Simeon and Lynch in an open battle for the starting job. He preferred growing pains in lieu of taking on Kaepernick's baggage. That was in March. If it didn't happen then, it won't now. It is not happening. Did you I'm back, guys. I am back. Yes, Miguel Cabrera's state spy tried to kick me off the air, but I'm back. And it's not going to work. Where did I leave off? Who does Denver have now that Manning is gone? They have, okay, so Dean, anyone going to the B&B stream? Who's the B&B stream, guys? Anyway, yeah, in Denver, you have Trevor Siemian, who I was just watching highlights of his. He can be a great quarterback. He can be a great quarterback, mark my words. I've seen him in action. He can't. I don't think that he's going to be. You know what? I don't know if he can be like a Peyton Manning level quarterback, but he had some amazing games. He's more of a Drew Brees type of thing. Freedom work. I'll be done in like 10 minutes, man. You can go to that stream though. But this is an issue where the Broncos, they have one guy who's a decent third year player at the starting position. Is going to be Trevor Siemian. I believe he will be the starter. I think he has all the capabilities. Then you have Paxton Lynch, who is, whatever. Then you have things freedom work. Who else do they have? We did skip over them. So then they have Chad Kelly, who's a rookie. So they have 3 young guys. Why would they go to Colin Kaepernick? Well, maybe if they needed veteran help, but Trevor Siemian, they're Colin Kaepernick. And I'm not being unfair because I've already said that there are 2 teams. The first team, in my opinion, is New Orleans, and the second team, I have to agree with Dean that it would be Buffalo. They would definitely be able to take him and do a decent job with them. Then you have Cleveland, and this is going to anger some of the local fans that I know because I live in the area. But I think he could be a Cleveland Brown because they just have one reason why he will Kaiser, who will be trying to prove himself, and they're going to have to give him a chance. There's going to be plenty of division in Cleveland between people who want. First of all, there's already division as of right now. Cody Kessler is slated to be the starter for only one reason, because he's the last quarterback left from last year when he was the 3rd stringer. He was the 3rd stringer last year behind Josh McCown, who is the starter in the Jets. He's the starter for the fucking Jets. And Robert Griffin III, who doesn't have a team yet. So he was the 3rd stringer, guys. And if you're not laughing at home, maybe you don't care enough about football, and this story isn't as funny. But Cody Kessler is the starting quarterback officially right now. Then you have Brock Osweiler, who the Browns got in some sort of a bullshit trade. And, there's a chance he could be the starter because, Cody Kessler played here and he injured himself pretty badly a couple times. So Osweiler would probably, he could injure himself in the preseason even. So by default, any of these 3 people, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Cleveland. Cleveland is basically where sports medicine comes to innovate because there's so many different injuries every year. It's almost like we're a laboratory for sports industries. Injuries, sorry. And then the 3rd guy is Deshaun Kaiser from Notre Dame, quarterback, 2nd rounder, and he could also be the starter for a while. I see somebody left. I guess you didn't want to hear the finale. Then you have Denise says, I didn't know Brock landed there. I needed to catch up. No, you don't. It's actually not that big of a deal. He will be gone. Believe me. There was who was the guy they signed here in Cleveland last year? Well, that was in basketball. They signed Andrew Bogut, and he came in for one play and got a knee injury and left. That was for the Cavs. That happens every day with the Browns. They will sign a guy, and you see this is what the team was like ever since I was a little kid, and therefore people adapt to things like, they adapt. Osweiler, did he go to University of Montana or he was born in Montana? Let me know. I see somebody's rejoined us. So we got 2 more teams left. So yes, the Browns could be a destination during the season. I don't think that they'll sign him during the preseason. Okay, so Dean, Denise, let me know if you agree. I don't think that he's going to sign here in Cleveland during the preseason. I think that he could sign when one of their quarterbacks ends up becoming hamburger beef in week 2. Then you have the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, I think he could land back with them. Went to U of M and is from my city, Kalispell. Angel Muniz. Well, I'm glad you took it with, yeah. When you come on, I want to hear some real trash talk from you, Angel, about if you're a Vikings fan, I want you to really let it rip on the Detroit Lions or whoever you hate, because this is kind of all that hate speech shit that they try to talk about with politics. I guess in sports, that's where we can vent. It's almost like an underground culture where we can become the real people that we are. Now, we're going to go to the last two teams that Kaepernick could go to. You have here in the West, you have the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. Why do I say you could go back to San Francisco? Because they have three shitty quarterbacks. They have Hoyer, who, he's actually not a shitty quarterback. He's just prone to injury, and to be honest with you, he's the only thing he has going for him is his heart. He can really put a team on his shoulders, but then somebody breaks his shoulders every year. That's why he was not a success in Chicago. Also because the Bears were shit. And he wasn't a success he was a success in Cleveland for 1 year, by the way, on an awful team. You should know that he was on a team that was probably one of the worst teams I've ever seen, and he was able to get them to 7 wins. So Brian Hoyer 3 years ago was like a decent quarterback. I don't think with the Niners' talent he's going to be able to last. Matt Barkley is, everybody knows about him. Yeah, he's not going to. I mean, he could last in San Francisco because I think he's always played in like shitty weather climates like Philly and Chicago, but I don't give him much chance to really be competitive. And CJ Beathard, I don't know anything about. And then you have the final team, the Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson and Trevon Boykin and Austin Davis. This is one of the only teams where you had a lot of players who came out and openly said, yeah, we could get him. I mean, there's no problem. We like this guy. Richard Sherman said he could easily get along with him, which I actually respect. You guys can disagree with me. I respect Richard Sherman more than any other player in the league, even players on my team. I think that he's a guy who knows how to talk shit and back it up. He's been a consistent leader in the locker room. He's been a leader off the field. He has never been in trouble. He's always been able to talk shit to reporters and back it up and tell reporters to go fuck themselves. I actually said last season, and you guys can call me an idiot, I've said that Richard Sherman could be a future commissioner of the NFL. So I wouldn't mind him going to San Francisco. I still think that Russell Wilson would be a bigger success. It says here, which team needs the publicity, good or bad? I pick them as a team he will end up at. Yeah, I would say that would be Seattle. I say that Seattle is a team with the right sort of fan base. They would be fine with him with his political views. It would be a little bit of an adjustment given that he used to play for the Niners, who are their worst rivals. But I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. I mean, Seattle is the perfect public and the perfect fit for him. And I think that he would play fine with them. The other team is the other one that I left for the end. Baltimore would have been the perfect fit for him because Maryland is just full of SJWs and people that are, all about. Seattle has too many conservative fans, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, the Seattle area is full of a lot of liberals. So, I mean, are you saying the general fan base all around the Northwest, or are you just saying, are you saying in general they have conservative fans? Let me know. Yeah, Baltimore would have been a good fit. They would have been a decent fit. They have a good progressive fan base over there that would have been fine with a lot of things he says. They do have some conservative fans, but Maryland is really a state that's so blue and conservative, and they would need him. They would need him. Joe Flacco is not the elite quarterback he used to be, even though he's the quarterback that beat Kaepernick in the Super Bowl. And he could actually be a success there. The locker room would be fine with him. The fan base, I think, all this stuff about people, not wanting to go to the games, I think is kind of a gamble. And when it comes to ticket sales, I think no team is safe. Yeah, Freedom Work kind of, you said what I would have been saying intuitively, that Seattle is sort of, I mean, I talked, if you guys have seen my interview with this white nationalist guy, a really, complicated person. His name was the Irreverend. He goes on ABL's podcast. He's in the chat on ABL's live streams. That guy, he is pretty sure he's pretty much one of the only conservative, so-called conservative people in the Northwest. And I don't know if he really considers himself a conservative or not, but that's what he claims. He doesn't think that there's a lot of people in the Northwest that are conservative. And I know people in Oregon are otherwise. A lot of people in Oregon are conservative. They just they don't live in urban areas. I don't think Seattle is a good representation of their base. Also, the coach is no BS. I've heard otherwise. I've heard that Pete Carroll is kind of a coach that lets players say what the hell they want. It used to be a problem until he won a Super Bowl. So, says I'm sub to, oh, that Matt Christensen. Oh, is that B&B one? Anyway, so we're going to wrap up. So yeah, I think that the teams that are they're the biggest candidates for a good fit are New Orleans, Buffalo, Seattle, Indianapolis in terms of their need, and then you have so the Buffalo. What was the other one? Cleveland would be a good fit, but given what happened with Baltimore and him calling the owner a slave handler and Ray Lewis and Uncle Tom slave, then no, I don't think it's going to happen. Freedom work, if you're a sub to a reverend, you must have like a very tolerant attention span. That guy is kind of all over the place. And I think he would agree with me saying that. But we're going to have him back. And he's definitely relevant. And I chatted with him offline like a week ago, or off the stream, just like a regular chat. And I think he's doing better now. He's kind of dealing with some stuff up in Seattle, just because it's a rough town for people with his point of view, to put it lightly. So then, none of them. I'm not making light of his situation. I think he's really struggling up there. It's a hard struggle for anybody with different opinions up in the Seattle area. That's where the evergreen shit is going on. And Dean Kruger says it will be the Bills. That's my pick. I would say you are making a great pick. I would stick with the Saints. That's just my opinion, but I think I'm actually picking the underdog here. The Bills would be a very good fit for him because, first of all, they don't give a fuck. They will sign a guy. They always have to get people in the stands. The whole premise that you can't bring people to the stadium because Colin Kaepernick is on your team, I think that will be put to the test. I think that some people will still go to the games. There's a lot of people that they make a lot of noise. Oh, I'm not going to go to the fucking game. He's a fucking SJW. He's not going to. No, there's a lot of people that are weak about that. There's a lot of people that did tune out because of him. But, at this point, I think the NFL is willing to take the hit. And there could be a team that would be willing to take him. I'm not sure that team will sign him before the season starts. Like I said, if he does not get signed by the beginning of the season, I think the Browns are a good fit for him to sign him when one of their people gets turned into a human s'more. Then you would probably also have to talk about the Jets, who also have problems with a horrible offensive line. The Eagles have a horrible. I don't know why people say they have a good offensive line. I think with an injury, they could end up signing him as a backup at some point. And that would be hilarious because the Eagles fans treat their quarterbacks like shit. I'll go just to boo him, LOL. But then you'd be giving him money. Gotta keep that in mind, Dean. Dean, what's your opinion? I heard Denise talk about the Seahawks. Dean, could you really quick comment? Do you think there is a chance of him going to the Giants? And Freedom Work. True. Okay. Freedom Work. What about? Do you think he could go to the Panthers? And Denise, I think you said, I can't believe you don't agree with me. I think Dean Kruger says hell no. He agrees with me. I don't think he can go to the Giants because the Giants have enough people to use. Even with Geno Smith, I don't think that they're going to sign him. I do think that he could go to the Seahawks. That would be my third choice after the Bills. And then that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a rough ride for a long time, but you know, this other video that I was trying to organize was just so annoying. I just keep losing sound, and I can't even get. You know, you have to erase half of it and whatever. So this was a little more fun for me. Freedom Work says he won't come to North Carolina. That's what I thought. And Charlotte does have a little liberal. It does have some liberals there, but you know, with a fan base, you know, I know I don't travel a lot, but I know in these areas. North Carolina, sports-wise, is a basketball state. They have a hard time attracting fans at, you know, some years to the Hornets because they have 4 of the best college basketball programs in the country. So football is even less of a major league sport for them. And if, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but none of those teams have a competitive football program. You know, Duke, North Carolina, and NC State, and Wake Forest. And you know, you have to go to South Carolina where you have Clemson. They are the big power in the Carolinas. He agrees with me. I think that the Panthers would be like, yeah, we don't need, first of all, we don't need him, period. And second of all, we don't need that headache. And like I said, the Cowboys are, I don't think that they will take him, but they actually would in terms of needs. They could make a spot for him. I mean, it's not like that would be a crazy proposition, but I would hate to have to, you know, watch him on the sideline be a dick in you know, the Cowboys fan base is all about showing the flag and whatever, and you know, I think that would be very bad optics on the part of Jerry Jones. So have a great night, guys. I don't think that there's going to be another live stream today. I might film another video though and release it. So please like this video. If you're not subscribed to me, subscribe, and share the Testigo Venezuela videos wherever you can. I'm really trying to help the gentlemen that have already come out. Cowboys Americana. Yes, I agree. The Venezuela stuff is really the most dedicated cause I have right now, and very important to me. I am trying to work on the ADL shit too, but you know, there's actually very fluid progress on Venezuela going on right now. And by the way, I am planning tomorrow night around 9:30 Eastern time to have a live group stream about Venezuela with some of the people that have already joined me. So good night. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for making this evening enjoyable for me. You know, everybody take a knee.